Lord, grant me the courage to be courageous. I am not certain I can be what I've imagined myself to be. I need to find that person inside of me. I need to become that strong, loving human being that I've seen in my mind's eye. I'm not alone in this. Few people are born brave or forgiving or loving. We all make choices along the way. I've learned that these choices, all of them, matter. Big and small, private and public, they matter. So in my heart, I ask for the grace to stand up to my fears and let the light in me come through with all its power. Maybe that light will change something, or maybe I won't notice a thing. All I know is I cannot fear both the darkness and the light. That is utter madness. I choose the light, so hover over me, Lord. Light my way, light my path, light my soul. Amen. There's like different people sometimes in here. Am I imagining? Okay. It's just, it's like, okay, I want to talk to you about the power of words this morning. I love this part. I love this part because I'm a wordsmith. And I adore, adore, adore this part of my teaching. Words for me are like flying carpets. And they're the tools through which you create everything you are in contact with. The words you use create your contact with reality. They form your reality. They determine how you touch your reality. They determine what you think, what you see, how you talk to yourself. Your words decide whether or not something's a problem. A problem. Problem's a word. Is this a problem? I don't know. Maybe I'll put in opportunity. Maybe I'll call it a curiosity. What word shall I use? You have no idea how many options you have, or that you've become adjusted to using certain words because they're familiar and you like the consequence of that word. Every word sets in motion cause and effect in here. And once you've tossed it out of your mouth, out here. Every word is a contact point. If I were to say to you, as I'm going to, and it's going to be your exercise, the exercise I'm going to give you, it's going to baffle you and puzzle you. It sounds simple, but it's not. It's in fact going to be one of the most baffling and puzzling, because you're finally going to get a sense of the power of a word. I'm going to ask you to give me one word, to give up a word that you will never use again, ever. But along with that comes everything in your life that's associated with that word. I get to pull it out of you and root it out of your cell tissue, out of your brain, out of everything in your life that's connected to that word. I want one, just imagine something small. Oh, I don't know, L-O-V-E. That's not much of a word, is it really? Just 4 letters? But everything that goes with it comes out. You can have no contact with anything associated with that word. It's your feeler for that. But I pulled it out. Or give me B-L-U-E. Now you can't see blue anymore, can't contact it, nothing, because I've wiped it out. It's not in your consciousness. If it's not here, it can't be in your eyes. It cannot be in your eyes, because you have no awareness of it. It's not there. So I want one word. One. You want zebra? You can never see a zebra. You might think that's not a big deal. Go to Africa on a tour. Everyone else is going to say, look at that zebra, and you're going to be like, where? Where? I'm not kidding you. Now you're going to be very jealous about your vocabulary. You can't have one. I'll give you a small one. I'll give you and. Try a sentence after that. Me, it. Well, who went with you? You can't even speak if you gave me that, just 3 letters. You have no idea how powerful every word you have is. And at the same time, how rarely you have actually sat back and reflected, what words did I use today? What jumble of words came out of me? What jumble of words did I use to frame this situation I'm in? What words should I use? Was this really a problem, or did I just say that by habit? Because if I frame this as a problem, that's how it's going to get registered. Maybe it really isn't a problem. Maybe I've overreacted. Maybe it's just because I don't understand it that I've decided, what label? I'll go in my word label room. What label shall I do? Because I don't understand it. I'm impatient. It's a knee-jerk. It's upset me. I think I'll call it a problem. For all I know, it's a gift. It's an opportunity. It's a divine mystery. There's all kinds of options. Oh, but I don't have those words in my vocabulary. Oh, dear. Well, then the only one you have is problem. Well, now you're up a creek. You don't recognize divine mystery. You don't recognize divine opportunity. So how can you call it anything but a problem? You can't tell the difference. You don't have the vocabulary. You haven't pushed yourself beyond yourself. You haven't downloaded a sufficient, magical, enchanting vocabulary into yourself that says, you know what, I got to do better than this. I have a vocabulary that keeps me in depression. I've got the wrong words in my head. I got the wrong words here. I got a bad vocabulary in my head. These words are not working. They are not capable of handling the circumstances my life is putting me in. I need to tool up here. If I was constantly complaining, another useless word, about a circumstance, I would say the words I'm using are very ineffective tools for getting me out of here. I'm having a vocabulary crisis. These words are not working. Nobody ever considers I have an inadequate vocabulary. I don't have enough words in me to navigate this. So before you go any further, go check your vocabulary. You don't have enough words in your head. You call things that they're not. You're calling a zebra a cow. So no wonder you don't realize you're in Africa. You have no idea what you're talking about because you don't have enough words in your head. You don't recognize a mystical opportunity. This must be a problem. This must be a crisis. It makes me unhappy. I must be unhappy because my whole world is about me being happy. Is it really? Is that how small your world is? I think we need to pump some oxygen in your world and make it a little bit bigger. Because life is not about being happy. Is it really? Life is about, let's throw some words in there. It's about discovery. It's about self-knowledge. It's about truth. It's about experience. It's about mystery. Now, where's happiness on the list? What is happiness? What makes up happiness? What are the ingredients of happiness? How many times I've asked somebody, all right, give me the 5 ingredients that make you happy, because it's different for everybody. And if you don't have a big enough vocabulary, most people look at me and go, duh, I don't know. How can you not know? How can you pursue something and then not know? What makes you happy? How can you be on a path and not know where you're going? How is that possible? Where are the words? You are lacking your words. Your words are your tools. They are your tools. You're too old to not know where you're going, to spot your targets, to be right on target. You need to eat words. You need to take a book and say, I need some words here. I need some words. You need to put your upset on suspense. Hit a pause button and say, I'm not upset, I just need some words. I'm not sad, I need some words here. I've reached the extent to which my vocabulary can navigate the situation I'm in. I'm out of my vocabulary zone. I need some new words. You may have to turn to a philosophy book, a theology book. You may have to turn to science. You may have to turn to poetry. You may have to turn to everyone from Emily Dickinson to Shakespeare to Plato. Who cares? Dump words in your head. And then take words that say, I am very unhappy. Take that word out. It gets you in trouble. We're going to make a list of words you're not going to use anymore. They don't work. They're dysfunction. They get you in trouble. They take you down the rabbit hole. And you're going to put in this. I'm in divine mystery. Now, where do you go next from there? I'm in divine mystery. This is not bad. I've never been here before. What comes next? What comes next is the truth that if I'm divine mystery, I'm surrounded by companionship. You're always with an escort in divine mystery. You always have a holy escort. You are always with a companion in divine mystery. You're always being led through a transformation. You are always, you recognize, I am a caterpillar and it's time to become a butterfly. I see. I'm going into the gelatinous stage. I get this. You start recognizing you never thought of yourself as a caterpillar. Word. Put it in. Put that word in. You may be going into your caterpillar stage, in which you are going to take on a new form. So the form of your life has to be taken down. This is a holy mystical experience. And you become gelatinous, and you cannot poke through while wings are forming around you. And it's dark in there. It's dark in there, in the cocoon. You have to be very still because you're gelatinous. And then off you go. And you think, whoa, look at me. I'm a monarch. What a thing to be in Britain, eh? Took you a while. Keep up with me. The capacity to recognize, to reshape something, to use symbolic language, to say, you know what, my literal language is not working. I need the next level of my vocabulary. I need to pull out my symbolic vocabulary. I need to pull out my metaphoric vocabulary. This is not working. I need to see through a different lens. I need to not refer to this as a crisis. I need to say that it could be a phoenix situation. Something has fallen into the ashes. and it is disintegrating. But it is bound to rise. The bird always comes out of the ashes. Speak in mythology to yourself. The myths of heaven have existed as the myths of heaven because they tell us how our power will recover. And they tell us we will fall into the ashes. They are not just stories. They are stories about us. That there will come a time in our lives, maybe more than once, when we will fall into the ashes. And we will be consumed and burned up. What part of us will burn up? I don't know. Maybe in each of us it will be different. But in each of us, a part of our life, maybe it'll be the whole of our economic life will burn up. Maybe it's the whole of our financial. Maybe it's the whole of our personal. Who knows? But into each of our life will come a phoenix moment where we fall, we tumble, and we watch everything we thought was familiar burn in front of us, and we cannot stop it. And when that time comes, and you take it, here is the word, personally. You are burning in those ashes. You yourself are burning. Because and it is so difficult to not take it personally, because it is those are your belongings. That is your life on the fire. Those are your things. That is your heartbreaking. You're absolutely right. And yet, one part of you have to hold back. You have to hold back and say, I recognize this experience. I recognize it. I recognize the tiniest part of you. If the tiniest part of you can pull out a word written in the tiniest language, if you could just pull out the word archetype or impersonal or observe, get impersonal just for a second and say, this is Phoenix. Pull out the word Phoenix. Pull out any of those words that allows you just for a microsecond to just go and say, I've seen this. Even in that microsecond, you might not be ready. You're not ready to accept this yet as a mythic experience because you haven't mourned it. You haven't wept it through. You haven't cried through your personal experience of a myth. It's overwhelming. So you have to step back in and weep it through because it's broken you in half. But as you begin to set up again, as the phoenix comes in, and you feel the wings of your phoenix, even if you fight those wings, you can't. Because that's the second part of this myth. It is destined that you will fly again. Because the myth has written the end. You will rise and fly again. Even if you said, tie me to the earth, I'm not going to. Those tethers would break. Because the myth is as it is. It is the promise that nothing, while they may burn your body, they cannot destroy the spirit. You may contaminate your spirit, and that's your choice. But if you recognize why the myth happens, that what is burned out of us has to go for reasons we will never know. Maybe it's time for that person to leave, and it's time for this stage of our life. It's time for stages of our life to go that we would never ourselves give up. That we would never, for reasons we do not know, and we'll never know. There's no part of heaven that comes down and says, listen, let's have dinner because this is what's going to happen. That house is going to crumble. This is going to happen. Heaven doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. It never will. It never has. Well, maybe with Abram and Isaac and a few of those characters. But as a rule, we don't get these warnings. We just don't get these warnings. How we frame things, the words we use, is everything. It's everything. Now look in relationships. The vocabulary you bring to the party when it comes to relationships, drives me crazy. You drive me crazy. You make me nuts. Okay? You're a problem for me. Imagine saying to someone who's heard you say this, you absolutely intrigue me. You absolutely fascinate me. You make me fascinated. Change your vocabulary. Change your vocabulary. See that person differently. You don't make me crazy. What if you are crazy already? What if you were crazy before you got into the relationship? And he did you the favor, or she did, of bringing it out in you. Has that ever occurred to you? Has it ever occurred to you that you were already nuts? Okay, so, and that anybody who goes near you has to really watch it? I mean, let's face it, how many of you think you're easy to live with? I don't see any hands going up. All right, right, okay, so let's put ourselves in perspective. Describe yourself now in 5 words. Describe yourself now in 5 words. And include, by the way, the most challenging part of yourself. Now, circle one of those 5 words. Okay. Now, look at the person next to you. Don't look at their list. No. I want you to look at the person next to you. Everybody have a next to you. And say, give me 1 word from your list. Get 1 word from someone's list.
Serpent word?
Get 1 word from someone's list. Just 1 word. Just 1 word. Just 1 word. That's it. 1 word. I didn't ask you to talk. I said get 1 word. Get 1 word. Get 1 word. That's it. I'm asking you for 1 word. Stop talking. Stop it. I said 1 word. Just get 1 word. Everybody exchange 1 word. Okay, I want you to take out the word you circled and put in the word someone gave you. Take out, you circled a word, take that word out, and put in the word someone gave you. I said get a word from someone and put that in. Yeah? Did you get it? Did you get the exercise? Go fishing for a word. You're fishing for a new word. Yeah.
The other day, you guys asked a question, and you said it was such an important question you want to get back to.
Okay. I have to remember what the question is.
About how you facilitate moving up the
Right. I do have notes on that. Actually, that's closed for the afternoon. It's on the afternoon, and I do have my notes on that. Thank you. Well, prayer is, but I do have that. I promise. You can't be here? Okay. But I do have that. Okay, that's your first. We're calling this go fish. You have to go fish for a word. What?
You just said go fish before you said fish.
Yeah, it's fishing for a word. Okay, now, I want you to write down something, a present serious problem that you're dealing with. A problem that you're dealing with. Just say this and use the word problem. This is my most pressing present problem. What is it? This is my most pressing present problem. What is it? Could be anything. You know, something that's truly on your mind that's the most serious problem you're dealing with. And I want you to use the word problem. Yeah.
Can we use more than one word to describe what we're doing?
Yeah, I said this is the most pressing problem, and then describe it. What is it? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Is that personal problem or?
Anything that's, you know, every problem's personal. Yeah. So write it down. This is it. This is my most personal serious. You could say, you know, it's, you know, dealing with the insurance company, dealing with this, you know, whatever it is, dealing with that. Now, take out the word problem. Huh? Okay. And now, put in absurd opportunity. Absurd opportunity. This is the most absurd opportunity. It's absurd. I don't know how this came about. I don't know how I got myself into this, but I'm going to call it an absurd opportunity. Totally ridiculous. It's totally absurd. I just don't know how this happened. I can't explain it, but here I am in this absurd opportunity. And even though you may think, I can't bring myself to do this. Yes, you can. The idea is you are going to change the lens. You're going to change the lens. Now, put down someone's name with whom you have a power play. Power play, where you always have to win. You always have to get the last word in. Surely you know someone. Surely there must be at least some one person. Got it? Okay, so think of a way to look to a word that you could use in which, like, how do you frame that when you think this person, I have a power play with him or her? Okay, now reverse it and think of the word when you want to empower. Reverse it. Like your goal is to empower that person. How would you frame that? Hmm?
Yeah, so it's empower yourself in relation to that person.
Empower that person.
Okay.
Because what you don't, this is what's going on. When you are in a power play with someone, actually energetically, you are actually looking at yourself. You are actually really looking at yourself, and your pride won't let you see that. And everything you're criticizing in that person is something you're capable of doing or you are doing. It's just disguised in a different way. The technique is different. The dressing is different. I would never do that. Yes, you would. You're just doing it in a different way. You may be a psychic terrorist and they're a physical terrorist. Okay? You may be an emotional terrorist. But when you are in a power play, that's exactly it. You are playing with power. And that's why it's like, I've got to win. No, that's what passive-aggressive is about. I'll take the passive, you take the aggressive. It's like, okay, so when you look at that person and you think, I've got to change this, I've got to change the way I'm looking at myself. So I have to change the vocabulary here. Instead of an aggressive, hostile vocabulary, put one non-hostile word in, just one. And one way to do that is to become that person looking at you. To actually step into that person's skin and look directly at you and see you through that person's eyes. Become that person looking at you and how you must look to that person and how you might think of yourself as, oh God, this is humiliating me. I feel humiliated looking at myself through those eyes and the way I am behaving. Or you recognize that you look very, very manipulative or very frightened or very aggressive. You actually see yourself engaging in a power play. And you really see that you're coming from such fear and that you think, this is done. And that's when you step back into yourself, you see that that's where you were, and that's where he's coming from. And from that point on, the choice you make is, what do you, I can't do this. I can't do this. And you change your whole countenance changes. And you're able to say good morning and mean it. You're able to, the vocabulary that emanates from you and your mind shifts in such a field that you're no longer violating yourself. This is what you have to understand. You're no longer violating yourself. So you set in motion a very different cause and effect for yourself. And the many times I've talked to people and they'll say, but you don't understand. You don't understand. This is what this person did. And I'm like, tell me what you did. I'm so not interested in that person. Tell me what you're doing in terms of vengeance. Tell me what you're doing. I want to only know about your hostility, your rage, your vengeance, and how ugly this is making you. That's all I want to know about, is how ugly you've become. How ugly a person you've become. That's all I want to know about. Because that's all you should be concerned about, is how rotten it's made you inside, and how you're okay with that. Like it's not fazing you that you are disintegrating inside. All you look at what he's doing, but you don't see what you've become. And that's when someone will snap out and think, oh my God. That's what these are about. You see? Okay. Okay. Now, I have another question. This one's fun. Put down 5 words you use to manipulate people. You have a favorite vocabulary. What are 5 words you use to manipulate people. Now think of a conversation and how you go about getting your way. And you don't want to do it directly because you feel like, I can't do that. I don't know, I don't go about anything directly. I tend to manipulate. Okay, like with my nieces and my nephews, I'm very, very close to them. And I'm somewhat of a direct person. And yeah, and I like it that way. You never have to guess where I'm coming from. What you see is what you get. So you never have to walk out of my house and think, is she angry at me? You're going to know it. You never have to walk out and think, does she love me? You know it. Okay? So when the kids come over and I want something, I always say, sit down. I'm about to manipulate you. Because here's my goal. I want this. So we can take the short route, or we can take the long route, which includes a wonderful dinner. And Auntie will do this and this. But this is what I want. I said to my niece, and I put her through college. And I said, this is the bargain. You need some skin in the game, which is that expression, yeah? And I said, in this case, I mean it literally. I want your skin in this game. You will never, ever, ever be able to have a tattoo. I said, you got it? I will educate you as far as you want to go. You, Missy, will never scar your body. Do you understand me? Your skin is in the game. I said, so, sign on the dotted line. You are debt-free or you're scarred. Which is it? My way or no way? So, it was my way. And I could see now that she's kind of, and I said, no, we struck a covenant. I will never back down. So you have to walk over my grave whenever it is, and it may be 10 years from now, 1 year, or 10 weeks. Then you're free. You're off the hook, because I don't have to look at it. God, I loathe those things on a girl. But anyway, okay, so how do you manipulate? What's your vocabulary? Do any of you get whiny? Do you use that technique? You could put down whine. I get whiny. Helpless. Martyrdom. Excellent, excellent word. Martyrdom. Huh?
I include, like less, those or less.
Oh, you become inclusive. Inclusive, very good. Very good, well done. I'm exclusive and inclusive, but when I'm inclusive, it means you'll pay, you'll do. Very good, very good. Oh, good, goody, goody. What else have I got? Huh? Pleasing. Yeah, acquiesce. Oh, yes, oh, yeah, don't you look good? Yeah, How long do I have to do this? Yeah, very good. Bossy. Complimentary. I love that. Complimentary.
Take responsibility for your actions.
I'm sorry?
Take responsibility for your actions.
And you never do otherwise?
Yeah, well, that's the whole point, because sometimes it's me that has to do it too, and then I stand back and go, shit.
No, so when you're about to manipulate someone, that's when your responsibility level goes up?
But then in the same token, what I'm looking at is that the thing in front of me is not taking responsibility.
Yeah, but it's not about them.
Yeah.
See, this I'm going to hit a pause button here, guys. The whole point of what we're doing is not just fun, but it is fun. At least for me, I love this. But is that what spiritual direction is that you're paying attention to how powerful your spirit is. And that it is manifested in every single word you use. Everything. That the slightest word carries your universe in it. Every word is a universe. That when you change one word, you actually change your universe. You change the flow of your universe. The entire flow. This is not just a fun and game, though it's a fun way to get it across. But this jewel has to stick in your head. That if you take this jewel home, that when you need if you're in some kind of dead-end street, if you're in a crisis, if you're trying to get a point through, you have to pull back and say, what's the vocabulary I'm using here? I don't have an adequate amount. My vocabulary is inadequate for me in this situation. I need more words here. I need more words. And you go fishing for vocabulary. Okay. Now, when you manipulate someone and you'll say responsibility, that's a worn out word. It should have trackless on it. And it's never about another person. And I told you that yesterday. No point of your life anymore is about what someone else does.
That's right, so you take responsibility for you, and then...
No. You can't even do that, because you've done it again. I'll take responsibility for me. No. It's about understanding, wait a minute, what is responsibility? And then you add the word accountability. I have to account for my actions to me and my responsibility. And that will include what I will live with as a result. And as my sense of responsibility changes, where and how I live is going to change.
So to give an example of that, we were talking about this morning. I was saying, one day I'm going to run my country. And the reason I'm going to run my country is because...
Did you say country?
Yeah. And I said, I understand the first floor just as easily as I understand the 10th floor. But I've got to come back to the first floor to understand how to run it. So that's responsibility, that's accountability, that's managing the systems without too much control, because that's what's happened to the systems. We've taken too much control, leaving people with no freedom to create what we should have created. So we're now in a great time to take this opportunity. But we have to remember, if we're going to go to the 6th floor, we have to be capable of coming back down to the 1st to understand all. That's God.
So am I dealing with the future Prime Minister?
Absolutely.
Well, okay, so that being said, my coffee's arrived, guys, so you know what this is. It's my magic moment.
But I don't have the vocabulary.
No, you don't.
Correct. But that's what makes me capable, because I'm willing to learn.
There's a few things. One, just a few. Please, Claire. It is as if you were my directee and you said I want to be Prime Minister.
I hope to be one day.
Okay, there comes a point where it's as important for you to be aware of your own vocabulary as it is theirs, as your audience. that you hear every word someone says. And from one word, you can tell their universe. Well, what I hear you say, and I can interpret, when I listen to what someone says to me, I hear, for every one word you say, I hear 1,000. Because every word for me that you say, I know is attached to your archetypes, is attached to your symbolism. Every word you say, if you could hear that way, you are in your universe, you're in your vocabulary. Every word you say is a universe for me. Every word you say. If you learn how to hear that way, you're in a universe. The tone that you use is a universe for me. Everything is a universe for me. And because power is the fundamental ingredient in the human experience. Power is. So everything we do is an exchange of power. The words we use, how we don't use them, why we won't use a certain word. When someone says, oh, I could never say that, they've just told me a book about themselves. They've just told me, they've just told me their childhood when they say that. They've told me their relationship between male and female growing up. They told me what their mother was like. They told me everything by saying that one thing. Everything. That's all you have to say. I could never say that. They told me they have a sense of powerlessness right here. They began to profile their health. My weakness is in my solar plexus. I don't have enough self-esteem to say that. So, what else did they say? They said, I have to be manipulative. I have to wait for the right moment to communicate things. I have to kind of pull back. I just don't want to rock the system. Everything in their universe was communicated in that one phrase with those few words. That's how you listen. But that's also how you speak. This is how attuned. Everything is captured in your words. So when you decide what word am I going to use to frame this moment I'm in? This moment, am I in a helpless moment or am I in a beautiful moment? When I get up, do you say to yourself, I am so angry? I meet people when I look at their face and I think, you live in anger. That is a hell of a word to live in. That is a hell of a word. That word is a prison. That word is a prison, and I meet people who are angry all the time. They are some degree of angry all the time. That word just sizzles in you. And when someone says to me, why am I sick? And how it burns through your flesh, that word, how it burns through your nervous system. To live in that vibration. And when people say things like, wow, I don't understand why I'm sick. What's the one thing? And I'm like, one thing? One, you so don't understand human consciousness and the delicate way one word can bring you down. You were brought down by one word. One word brought you down. You dwell in that word. And when someone tries to put in a higher word, this is the vocabulary from this low level. Now, how many of you, and you in my health clinic, in a real, if I had my way and had a health clinic, you know how they have those tests that you have to take, like where's your urine and where's your blood and where's your this and where are your arms, where are your legs? Just a second. Oh my God. You realize I'm 3 hours late. I don't know why they don't open that for me. All right. I'm entitled to it. It's one of the words we're going to get to here. But one of the files, or what do you say, forms I would have you fill out has to do with the words you use. I would want to know your first, second, and third column vocabularies. Okay, and in this, so pay attention here because I'm asking you. This is your first column world, the base. This is concrete, this is hardcore vocabulary. So whether you think this way or actually speak this way, doesn't matter. These are words that form you. And if they form your attitude, they form your blood and your bones. Got it? These are the building blocks of how you see, how you think, how you approach life, how you approach others, how you walk in Tesco. These are the words that form everything. One of them is deserve. Do you use that word? Put it down. Don't look at me and go like this. Write it down. That is a dangerous word. Because it means you walk the world thinking you deserve things. Where do you get that idea? Who told you that? Who told you you deserve anything? Who lied to you? Okay. Deserve. That gives attitude. You have attitude. I deserve. Deserve means somebody is supposed to deliver something to you. Now, who is that somebody? I want you to think about this. It means that some structures were built just for you. But I deserve this. What do you deserve? You need to think this through. What do you think you deserve? Put 3 things down that you think you deserve. Really seriously, because if you've got the word in your head, it is attached to something. It's a real eye-opener. Listen, this is the part in spiritual direction for me where I have to practically, where you're sitting in the chair and you go, this is uncomfortable. Yeah, it is. There's nothing that I haven't put myself through. I've been at spiritual direction for 18 years with a spiritual director. With me, the directee. So trust me, there isn't any place I would take you that I haven't been. There's no way I would inflict this on someone that I haven't been through. Okay. So you think, what do you think you deserve? And one of the reasons I love this exercise is Teresa of Avila put her nuns through it 500 years ago. She'd say, what do you think you deserve? I don't understand how you think you deserve. Deserving is not a new word, people. It's not a new word. And what she would say to them is this, which is so beautiful. She'd say, well, do you think you deserve to be loved? Because how can you think you deserve that? Where does that come from? She says, but look at someone who loves you. Look at someone who loves you dearly. Look at them when they're not looking at you. And think that they think their whole life is better because you're here. That's how they think of you. That they get up in the morning and think, my whole life is better because you're in it. You don't deserve that. It just was given to you. It just happened. It was given to you. Something made that happen. That's called a blessing. It was given to you. It was provided. Love like that is because heaven said yes and made love happen. You can't say, to go up to someone and say, I deserve you loving me. I've scrubbed the floors, I've done this, I've done that. You can't make anybody love you. But some spark happens when someone says, whoa, where did you come from? Where did you come from? I was just walking here, and pow, I walked into you, and where did you come from? Wow! You were going this way, I was going that way, and pow! And you're here. And now I'm happy. That is divine. And Teresa said, that is a blessing, and don't you dare take credit for it. Don't you dare. And don't you dare say you deserve it, because you will miss heaven's hand in something you had nothing to do with. You have that straight? Good. Okay, next word. Blame. Yes, darling.
I was going to say, this question, I think it must have been the most important question.
I'm sorry, darling, I didn't hear you.
This question, I just realized as I was writing it down, it might have been the most important question that I have heard for a long time. Because the three things I wrote down, I could see that it was not love I wrote down, because love, and it's plenty of love, but I don't feel like I'm deserving love, it's just there. But the things that I believe I deserve, that's the one that's been breaking down. So universe is really trying to tell me something. And the third thing that I wrote has not happened yet, but I understand now that that is going to happen if I don't stop believing I deserve it.
Yes.
So thank you very much. That was incredible insight.
Bingo. Well done. Well done. You're honestly, your life just changed. Well done. Okay, next one. Blame. Deserve and blame go together. They're like brother and sister, apples and pears, peas and carrots. Any of you ever use the word blame? Or think it? What do you blame? Yes, darling.
When I have the feeling of blame, I go, I hate you.
Very good. And it's so true. Don't you? Don't you love it? Do you stamp your foot too? Because I do.
Yeah, that's it. And I feel rage. I hate you.
You see now, British rage is so calm.
I'm not calm when I'm hellfire and fury.
It's so polite.
It's only because we've got an audience.
It's so calm. And it's so polite. Now, you want to see Chicago rage? But, yeah. And hate's a badass word. If you pull that out, you better be sure you want to use it. You better be sure you want to use it. You pull that word out, people, you better be sure you want to use it, because you don't get a second chance. You understand me? That's one of those words that leaves permanent scar tissue. That's why there are certain words, we're going to put it in the column of use it once and you've killed the goose. Okay? That's how powerful words are. You can, like say to someone, I'm never going to cook for you again. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to do this. And it goes, and they're like, yeah. And then you pull out certain words. And all it takes is one of those, and it's over. So you know the power of one word can change your whole life. Don't. I don't love you. Add that, even if you don't mean it, but you say it in the moment. You say it in the moment just because you want to win the argument. Just because you want to hurt the other person a little more. I don't love you. Even the fact that you could say it to me is the end of this. I mean, you could throw cups and you could stomp your feet and you could scream and you could go, "Nyeh!" And maybe I could even tolerate you saying, I hate you. Because my daughter, your daughter said it all the time growing up, I hate you. But that one is where we drew the line. You cross that line, it's over. Don't is a big word. You pull that out, you mean it. So blame is a big word. If you walk around with blame in you, what you're saying is you are not responsible for your life. You're not responsible. Everybody else is. They should have. They should have done this. They should have done that. They could have done it. They could have done it better. They should have. They should have loved me through my childhood. They should have this. They should have that. They should have, would have, could have. Everything should have, would have, could have. And I would be a different package. Look at me now. I would be all set for the ball. But it's their fault. Shoulda, woulda, coulda. I would be so together today if they had been together then and loved me the way, and you're lying to yourself. You're lying. Yeah.
Thank you. What you just talked us through this morning, which has been very focused and direct. For me, they're all facets of the same thing, which was describing the selfish victim. It's about this happened to me, I'm not getting this, you treated me like this, it's your fault. It's all about focusing on myself as the person playing the selfish victim and not really recognizing it, which is what I see you doing here, which is drawing out of ourselves by the words we use to say, this is where we relate to ourselves.
Yeah. Yes, I think in so many ways, and I think, what's your name? Andrew, thank you. I think from a much larger point of view, huge, great big huge point of view, hugeness. Like if I took you up to the penthouse, all right, from a penthouse point of view, and I often don't do this because it requires that you become totally impersonal, and very few people can do that. You are stuck in your skin. And when I say stuck in your skin, it means you're stuck in your emotional experiences. And you can't get out of them. You'll still cling to your emotional experiences because what happens is you're so afraid that your emotional experiences will be forgotten, or they somehow will not be witnessed, or nobody will care. I don't care. Nobody cares about your emotional experiences. That's something you've got to get through to your head, is that in the long run, what difference do they make? You've got to get it through your head. It's a really humbling moment that everybody has emotional experiences. That's what makes us all. But it's what you do with them, how they form you as an elegant soul that moves amongst humanity and contributes the jewels that you've become, regardless of what you've experienced, but because of what you've experienced, that makes you shine, that makes people say, wow, you've had a rich texture of human experience that's included wounds and genius and creativity. A lot put you together. You've spanned the spectrum of the human journey. It hasn't been about cushiness. You've gone the distance. You've gone the distance. That is a human soul that you bow in front of. And if you've had that, then pull yourself and go the distance. Go the distance. Don't cheat yourself out of the distance because you want more people to see the wounds. Enough. Enough. What do you want them to do? Sit around and go, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, look at you. What a mess. I mean, what a mess. Wish I could help you, but hey, I got a lunch date, you know. But no. But I will in a minute. But let me just say that this is a great big hugeness. When we entered the nuclear age, we became so vulnerable as a planetary species. So vulnerable that I actually really believed heaven shifted evolution in a sense and had to kind of counteract the darkness of the coming of nuclear power, nuclear fire, with the awakening of our inner fire. Because that's the way balance works. With the darkness of our capacity, nuclear external fire to destroy ourselves, we had to discover nuclear inner fire, which is the power of our soul. And so in the 60s, there was this massive inner revolution that happened of that spiritual, outrageous, civil, sexual revolution that bam, burst through, but it actually started earlier. Started in the 40s with the end of the diaspora when Israel was made a nation. So gathered all the tribes together, and Israel officially became a nation. And then in the 50s, the Dalai Lama was forced to flee Tibet. Nobody had heard about the Dalai Lama until the Chinese invaded, and the Dalai Lama then bringing all that brilliance to the world. And then shortly thereafter, Pope John the 23rd, this rickety old man that they thought would just be a nothing, comes in and says we need to open the doors of the Catholic Church and get some fresh air, and Vatican II began. And with Vatican II, the Church created a brand new movement which expanded, and for the first time, Catholic theology went, and it opened the whole lens of the church, and everything became different. And now East and West met. Thomas Merton, this great, wondrous theologian, writes Seventh Story Mountain in the East-West Journal, isn't that right, Betty? And all of this wondrous work, and the Westerners go to the East, and Easterners go to the West, and all of this happens, and out of this, we dive into the world behind our eye. Jungian analysis begins. Psychotherapy begins. And we shift the world from a place where, prior to World War II, nobody would dare go for mental help, to a place over here where everybody was going for self-exploration. Prior to World War II, the word self went with ish. Now, we took self, the word, and put it in front of discovery, empowerment, self, whole. We discovered the inner self. We gave birth to this hybrid ego that never existed. It was more than an ego, less than a soul, somewhere in between. It was a travel zone. I'm getting into my self, my inner self, and going along. this opened up what's in there. What's in there? What's in us? As we turned around and looked and said, what is in us? What's in there? Inner space was the duplicate of outer space, becomes the two new frontiers. And as we look into inner space, we discover, wow, you know, we need a new vocabulary. We don't have the vocabulary. We've never had the vocabulary. Words. I need some words here. Psyche. We have psyche. We have self-exploration. We have this. We have that. Blah, 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 blah. And we start talking about victim consciousness. Inner child. I like this. I can get in here with this. What's the inner child? What's this? What's that? We're using the vocabulary of archetypes. We're traveling on a sea of unconscious, pulling the unconscious into the forefront. Our symbolic vocabulary is giving us access to parts of ourselves that we didn't even know existed. Prior to the nuclear age, if someone had said, my inner child's erupting. If my dad, a World War II Marine, had said that, it would have been outrageous. Now we open up, and the inner child and victim consciousness explodes into the forefront in the 1970s. And people start talking about the victim. But it's also at the time, and I have to do this as a background, that the first generation of people, of kids, grow up with television in the 60s and the 70s. Now, that's important because just as the victim archetype is beginning to become part of the common parlance, television programs creating in the Western civilization the ideal family, the magical family, Walt Disney with the little musketeers, and we had shows like Donna Reed, Bewitched, My Three Sons, all of these that promoted ideal families with ideal children and magical nannies that come down through the chimneys and watch me make your bread. And I want a magical nanny. Everything was absolutely perfect. And then come their imperfect parents. I'm not loved to perfection. Oh, for the first time, this high voltage, magical world is presented as the polar opposite of ordinary life. I'm wounded. I'm not mega loved. I'm not TV loved. I'm not Walt Disney loved. I don't have a castle. I don't have a Tinkerbell. I don't have this magical maid dropping in from above. Instead, I just have hard-working parents that come home, some of whom have lived through a war, some of whom have scar tissue, PTSD, but don't love me enough. Me. Never mind their traumas. Never mind what the hell they've been through. Because it's about me, you understand. Now, the society emerges and it starts to attune itself to victim consciousness. Civil rights blows up. Feminist movement comes up. We kick the doors down from the church. All kinds of things happen. We brought down every pillar that has always stood tall in society. Family, boundaries, church, banking, marriage, everything came down all at once. First time in the history of people that all the pillars that have held together society came down. And out come therapy. Therapy, my woundedness. And because society had never, ever made way for the inner being, didn't even acknowledge the inner being. It went into the extreme of the inner being. Everybody turned to that. And then at the same time, a body, mind, spirit template is introduced in medicine. And everyone said, this is perfect. That's right. That's right. We are integrated. Body, mind, spirit, everything. Except everybody went to the mind and emotions and left the spirit out. Didn't quite know what to do with the spirit and spirituality. True. So that the healing emotional path became the hybrid spiritual path. So going from massage and all this became a spiritual weekend. But looking at your wounds became the spiritual path. Looking at being a victim became a spiritual path. Looking for why you were victimized, whether it was past lives, this or that, how did this happen? How did I become so weak and frail? I can't function in life. We over-coddled the victim. We overindulged. We went way to the extreme. By now, by this point, 70 years later, people should be able to say, I've had this experience, I've got to work it through, and it should take a few years. But it takes a lifetime. It shouldn't take a lifetime to get over a childhood. That's bullshit. You waste your whole life. You waste your whole life trying to get over a childhood. There comes a point, and you have to be spoken to in a certain way. No. 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 There comes a time when you say, my childhood may have been difficult, but I have a dynamic life inside of me. And I have to live that too. And I'm not sacrificing my functioning adulthood because of what happened then. You can't do that. You cannot not be all that you can be. We can't do that. Our society has become too lopsided now. Do you not see that? I look at what happened in the States. 9/11 happens. Those two buildings come down, and they pay the victims. They pay the... What are you talking about? What the hell are you kidding me? People made money off of that? Believe me, I just don't even go there with me. But, yeah. They call them... Right, go. I'll be there.
Hi, Carolyn.
Yes.
I do very much agree with what you're saying. At the moment, with things like the Me Too campaign on digital media, which is asking people to speak about their sexual experiences of when they've experienced offense. But, you know, there is... I wonder what you think about if there is this deep possibility happening in the political turmoil that's going on and this rising up of all these wounds, that there is... what I don't hear in that is just wanting to express victimhood. I hear a community coming together who want to build resilience for each other and hold that together and not say you are a victim and you stay there and poor you, but to hold it and say this is happening, we need to change our culture, we need to change our society. And, you know, let's not dwell there, but let's be real about that and bring that forward now. And that's what I feel in this moment of time.
Well, it may be that there's a turning point happening after 70 years, that there's a turning point. We'll see. I don't know. It depends on how these types of situations are handled. Whether it's a bunch of people screaming about wounds and screaming about being violated, and how they handle this. Again, it's vocabulary and how they frame this. and whether or not they are able to say to the media, do not sensationalize my situation. Well, then why are you speaking about it? Why are you speaking about it this way? If they're able to frame it in such a way that says, we want to speak about this to empower, because this is our agenda. What is your agenda in bringing this forward? Is it money? Is it fame? I don't trust anything in Hollywood. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't even trust half those people coming forward that it's legitimate. So I can't go along with you. I just find the whole thing suspicious because of who these people are and when the timing is. Where were they before it was Hollywood? So
I guess I'm not aware of the Hollywood dimension so much. It's more what I see in my friends, it's more like a personal
okay, well,
upsurge.
I can't speak for that. I can't speak for that. But I do think that no, that's all I can say about that. All right. Okay, I am, obviously there's break time. So when we come back, I'm not done with this topic, but I do want you to think about something, and that's a word you are going to give up. And I really want you to think about that. A word you are willing to give up, and I'll take your questions as soon as I get back, I promise. Because I'm glad you're asking a question. You've been quiet the whole workshop. Don't think I haven't noticed.